And hello, it's time for yet another edition of MLB This Week. It's the MLB This Week show. My name is Rich.
And I'm Gary.
And we're talking baseball each week with you. And it's August 18th, Gary, 2014. We're talking a little baseball tonight. And the big news is the Little League World Series.
Yeah, they're playing, I guess it's, what would you call it, the regionals at this point? And tonight, the Great Lakes team is playing the New England squad from Rhode Island, and the Great Lakes team coming from Chicago. So last night was an exciting game, as I'm not even going to remember who it was. The Philly team, I think it was.
Yeah.
They pulled it out in the last inning, pulled out a victory. So lots of excitement. It's pretty cool watching those kids play.
Yes, it is. They've made a big concerted effort this year. It seems like it's on more ESPN channels than ever so far. And as you said, they're in the elimination rounds now, but it started a few days ago, probably go on at least another week. And as you said, a lot of hullabaloo about it. And, of course, this is the 75th anniversary of the Little League World Series. And only within the last 25, 30 years, I think since 1975, they renamed it the World Series. It had been named the Little League Series or something like that, but then they added World Series into it. And they actually added teams from all over the world as well. Taiwan holds the lead for the most wins in the Little League World Series with 17, if you can believe that.
Wow.
Yeah, and of course, 11 to 13 years old are these players, and they have a big spotlight. They're on ESPN. They're very humble, and they just seem to enjoy playing baseball.
Now, Rich, did you play Little League Baseball when you were a kid?
I played, yes, I did play Little League for a couple years. I don't think I made it to the 13-year-olds, the Babe Ruth, I think they called it in my area.
Yeah, see, we didn't have any Little League. I grew up in Queens, and we actually played CYO ball with the Catholic Youth Organization, played for the local church, and we didn't have the Little League per se. We played on that level and played that all the way up till just about high school, I guess, right before high school, and then went and played some Connie Mack baseball, which was big in New York at that time. But I never got to play Little League ball, and I know they play some different rules than the big boys play, and but it's interesting to watch and fun to watch these kids, and they're really having fun. And of course, the big name is that young lady from Philadelphia, Monet. Her last name escapes me now. I think is it Davis?
I believe it's Davis, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's been striking out everybody, and she's a very good hitter as well, and played some shortstop last night, and I think even a little first base, so she's pretty versatile. And most of these kids are pretty versatile. They move them around to keep them in the lineup and stuff. So, but it's fascinating to watch them. And like you said, they've done some job there in Williamsport with their stadium and growing this brand that they have.
Yeah, even their website is very unique. It's got a scrolling scoreboard that's constantly being updated. And as you said, there's a game going on tonight. The Great Lakes and New England, they're tied up 2-2 as we're doing the show tonight. And this tournament will go on through the week. And believe it or not, all of the tickets for the finals are already spoken for. You. Unless you know somebody, you're not going to be able to get a ticket because they have a lottery for these tickets for the final games, and they've already been distributed already. So Little League does a great job. They sponsor also some other tournaments during the year as well, some lesser-known ones, a junior tournament, and also what they call the Big Leaguer, which are players that are 15 through 18. And they also sponsor softball tournaments. So it's a great website if you want to check it out. It's llbws.org, and you can keep up with all the latest happenings around the Little League World Series and also some of the other leagues that are sponsored in the country playing baseball.
Yeah, it's certainly a great organization and well organized.
Yep, and just as I was saying this, the Great Lakes took a lead, 5-2. They must have scored 3 runs there just that fast. So it's only the bottom of the second now, and the Great Lakes have a lead on New England, 5-2. So it'll be interesting to see who wins this one. And of course, it's comprised with 16 teams, 8 from the United States and 8 from around the world. That's how they break it up. Back in 1975 as well, the Little League organization decided they weren't going to have world teams involved, but that only lasted a year when some vocal opponents of that spoke up and they listened, so they invited the world teams back. But it's a great game, that Little League World Series.
Yeah, I think the international adds to it. It exposes these kids to players they would never meet in cultures, and it exposes the international kids to our culture, and they all come together under the same dome, if you will, and that is baseball.
Yep, under the same flag of the great game of baseball. And we had a new commissioner named in the past week for baseball, and it seems like Bud Selig has held this job forever, Gary.
Yeah, he certainly has, but he's going to be retiring soon. And you know, Rich, I was watching MLB.com, and they came out with the news, and I could have sworn they were talking about electing a new pope in the Vatican, because they came out and said that Rob Manfred lost on the first ballot, and I expected the black smoke. You know, when they vote for the Pope, they changed the color of the smoke, and then we have white smoke, and we have a new commissioner. Yep. So,
yeah,
Rob Manfred was elected baseball's 10th commissioner Thursday, winning a 3-man race to succeed Bud Selig, and given a mandate by the tradition-bound sport to recapture the young fans and speed play in an era that has seen competition increase and attention spans shrink. Now, Manfred is no stranger. He has been working with Major League Baseball for a number of years, and was sort of like Bud Selig's right-hand man, so he's aware of the problems, and I'm sure he'll get up to speed. There he is there. He'll get up to speed real quick on everything, and he beat out Boston Red Sox chairman Tom Werner, and the third candidate was MLB Executive Vice President of Business Tim Brosnan, but he withdrew just before the start of balloting. So a new commish to start the 2015 season, and Rich, he's got some issues to deal with.
Yes, he does. Coming into a hot seat, so to speak, a chair that probably not too many people would have liked to have occupied. He's always constantly ruling on different weighty subjects, and amongst the few of them will be obviously the PEDs that baseball is still dealing with the recent announcements of some players possibly being involved, and Alex Rodriguez's relative being arrested recently for that. And we'll have to see how he handles it. It seems like in the past Bud Selig and company would sort of find a common ground and stick to it on this. It'll be interesting to see if that changes a little bit. And of course, the upcoming labor contract, I believe, is due in 2016, so that'll probably be handled by the new commissioner, Mr. Manfred, there. And he's got a number of issues facing him, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles the new stadiums that are proposed for Oakland and Tampa. Those two areas, of course, Oakland's seeing a resurgence this year, but Tampa obviously is in need of a stadium down there. Their big Tropicana field is needing replacement. We'll have to see if what he says about that. Also, growing the fan base, obviously one of the big challenges for the commissioner, especially in a time of declining attendances around the league. He has a number of issues to face, including higher ticket prices, things like that, competition for the entertainment dollar amongst fans. So we'll have to see how he deals with that. And you've got the ever question on most people's minds, will he admit Pete Rose back into baseball?
Well, that's an interesting one. I don't know where he's going with that. I think it's time to do it. And look, again, they can. We've discussed before. They can stipulate that he cannot manage or coach, but he could be part of everything else. And really, probably his age, he's probably too old to manage. And I don't see, being a coach or anything, how that could hurt anybody at all at this stage of the game. But let him in, and hopefully you'll have some writers that will let him into the Hall of Fame and get him in there where he belongs. We should judge him what he did on the field. Now, some people will say, well, he did this in the clubhouse to call him his bookie and stuff, but I don't think he's the first, and I certainly don't think he'll be the last.
Yep, and as you said, Manfred did not get a satisfying number of votes from the owners who actually elected commissioner, and that was led to the brief announcement that he did not get elected after getting 22 of 30 votes. He fell one short of what was needed to be elected, and as you said, the baseball establishment took a break for an hour or so and all came together and finally elected Mr. Manfred. So somebody held out on him a little bit as well.
Well, we don't know because, they probably burnt the ballots with the black smoke, and then after he was elected, the white smoke came up out of the headquarters at MLB, and we all knew we had a new commissioner. So.
Yeah, it seems very exciting, a new challenge for him, and obviously as baseball continues to progress, look at Bud Selig. In the last couple years, he's had to rule on instant replay, which isn't a small issue. It probably changed baseball for good. I think most of the fans support some of the replays. I'm not so sure about some of the new rules that came into effect this year, though.
No, and of course, I guess you're hinting at that the home plate rule. That's something they're going to have to really look at. And but Rich, what do you think they can do to speed up play in this day and age with these guys stepping out? And I don't know. In the old days they used to have 2-hour games, but guys didn't step out as much. And I say you want to speed up the game, get rid of the designated hitter.
Yeah, that would give you a faster out usually in the American League, and I'm not so sure in the National League that that's a big problem with these long games. Most professional sports games are about 3 hours long from start to finish, and your baseball games generally run about that long as well. Now, a few times they'll run past 3.5, 4 hours, and that's very rare. But I really don't think it's as big as a problem as some people are making it out to be.
Well, one of the main reasons is TV. There's more commercials. They have a guy there now with different colored poster board or whatever to signal to the umpire when it's good to go and when not. So yes, it does take a long time, and yes, it would be nice to speed up the game. But what are you going to do about TV? And that's usually the main culprit with anything. So do you not take those dollars? And I remember when we first got cable, we used to watch the ball games. And on the cable channel, there was no commercials. And you want to talk about these guys tap dancing, these announcers, because they had to fill that time, and they had to watch it that they didn't burp or whatever else, pass gas, uh,
Oh,
curse or anything. And sometimes it was just silence, but that's the way it is. That's the way a ball game should be. Then they started advertising, and I can never understand that because we were paying for the cable and paying for the service for the ball game.
mm,
Why we didn't get to see advertisements, but advertisements sneaked into everything. They're in everything, and I don't know how you speed up the game. One, as I say, I would get rid of designated hitter. I would not allow these guys to. You can step out once maybe in an at bat.
mm.
You got to speed the pitchers up a little bit there. They tried that. Supposedly there's a 30-second clock on a pitcher. I've never seen it really enforced at all. Maybe they should do what basketball does. If you have a 30-second clock, put it right behind home plate so the pitcher's looking at it.
Yeah, that's a
And and let
possibility.
him see it count down. And if he rushes through and he throws a fat one and it goes out, well, maybe they'll improve the offense there at the same time. Look at that. You can kill two birds with one stone. Improve the offense and quicken the pace of the game. So,
Yeah. Like I said, I really don't think it's that much of a problem. Most of your football games run at least 3 hours from start to finish. Of course, they take breaks in between as well. But it'll be interesting to see if they address that at all, especially with the instant replay rule now. You're adding on time right there, so it's kind of hard to make a game faster when you're continually adding time to it.
right, exactly. Well, we'll
So
see. It'll be an interesting see what he's going to come up with.
that's for sure. Well, we want to invite everybody to our website. It's mlbthisweek.com. You can find our video show that we do on YouTube, and it's recorded every week for you to watch as well as listen to the show on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and also Podomatic.com. You can find the audio versions of our MLB This Week show there.
And, of course, Rich, on BaseballTalkRadio.com, the home of great baseball talk shows, where you'll find a number of great shows, including this one, as well as a little show I do called Mets Musings and a Brooklyn Cyclones show I do. And, of course, Rich's great show, Phillies Talk. And there's a Yankees podcast on there, and Minnesota Twins Talk to Contact.
Baltimore Orioles are on there, Cardinals, you name it. We have about 25 shows and a couple from all over the world. Japanese baseball, if you ever want to find out a little bit about who's playing over in Japan, you can find that show there as well.
And Canadian baseball, Baseball Talk Radio, folks. It's international. It's terrific. Go check it out. BaseballTalkRadio.com, the home of great baseball talk shows.
And we want to see you checking that out there. And Gary, you have some bad news for the Rockies, and it just keeps getting worse for them, it seems.
Well, they started out the year really hot, and everybody thought that this would be a year for them to make a run. And recently, of course, at first it was Troy Tulowitzki, their all-star shortstop, out for the season with a hip surgery. Then Carlos Gonzalez, their left fielder, he needs knee surgery. He's out for the season. And now this is last Saturday night, the Rockies and the Reds game was postponed because of a broken water main at 20th and Blake, the intersection where Coors Field is located. The Denver Office of Emergency Management requested the game be postponed at about 6:50 p.m. or about 40 minutes after the scheduled start time. The water main break at 20th and Blake cut off the water supply to the ballpark, meaning the restrooms and concession stands were inoperable. The game will be made up. I think last Sunday they actually did make up the game. Yesterday they made up the game, I should say. What a shame, because it was expected to be a sellout, because they were retiring the jersey of Todd Helton, who played 17 seasons in a Rockies uniform. But it just keeps going from bad to worse for that team, Rich. And There were people saying that the Mets should make some trades, try to get Carlos Gonzalez and Troy Tulowitzki here to New York. And boy, I don't want them now with all these injuries that these guys come up with year after year. And now, Tulowitzki with a hip surgery, that's a funky thing. You don't know what's going to happen. And, of course, knees. You never know with the knees.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I've never seen a game postponed due to a broken water main, so that's probably a first for that.
Yeah.
In a long time. I can't think of any other type of game that was postponed because of that. But yeah, the Rockies seem like they're free falling, just similar to like the Phillies. The Phillies have one of the highest payrolls in the league, and of course they're not winning many games. So tough times there for the Rockies and the Phillies as well. But we'll have to keep our eyes on that for you. And Gary, our next story up here is one about, let's see here, I've lost my place here, which is so easy to do on the show. One of your favorite sons up there in New York. The story is out of New Jersey, actually. In North Jersey, there is a corn maze set up, and if you're flying over top of it, you're going to see a familiar face. The giant corn maze, which is about 5 acres in length, circumference rather, is cut in the face of Derek Jeter, believe it or not. And I wish I had a graphic to put up on our video portion of the show, but if you fly above it, it says, "Thank you very much to the captain," and it has his face all cut out, and it's a big, large corn maze up there in New Jersey. So it was a great fan that, and a radio station, I believe, that sponsored this, and Derek Jeter getting his own corn maze. That's got to be a first. So we'll have to keep our eye on that story and see if Derek Jeter responds about this corn maze. Of course, Halloween coming up soon, so it's going to be the perfect time to take advantage of that corn maze with Derek Jeter and his face involved in that.
Yes, and I dropped out there for a second, Rich.
Yeah, you made a good recovery, though. You're right back on the show, so you didn't miss a beat there.
I guess it was just the corn maze that just got me, and another Derek Jeter
accolade. Another.
Yes, thank you. I don't know. I think we're getting enough's enough, and I hate to see the baseball season end, but maybe it's about time.
Yeah, it certainly seems like every week there's a new story, but this kind of tops it. Big corn maze. If you're flying above it, you would see Derek Jeter's face with congratulations to the captain. New Jersey radio station sponsored it, so nice gesture there. Something he'll remember for a long time.
I guess. I hope he gets some good pictures, because as soon as that corn gets ripe or rotten, either one, it's going to be gone. So, though it'll probably last. Don't they usually keep those mazes through October and stuff?
Yeah, so yeah. When the colder weather starts. Yep. You have a story, Jessica Alba throwing out a first pitch recently.
Yeah, Jessica Alba threw out the first pitch at Dodger Stadium yesterday, and her experience at the stadium comes after Jeff Bridges and Chrissy Teigen delivered quite impressive first pitches earlier this summer. It seems that the celebrities have learned, from 50 Cent's terrible first pitch, that they've been working harder at it. And I mean, that's about it for that story. I just figured, hey, what the heck? Any chance to look at Jessica Alba can't be all bad. So.
Yeah, as you said, it looks like they've been practicing there with the high leg kick, and and 50 Cent's throw there off the mound was kind of a joke, really. And as you said, yeah, the celebrities don't want to be singled out for that.
Yeah, they don't want to be embarrassed because, everybody's got a camera now, and it lives for eternity on YouTube.
Yes, it does. Well, we're going to take a quick look at the standings before we wrap up tonight's show. Not too much news out of the ordinary happening in baseball in the past week, but the division races are starting to heat up, as we talked about on the last show. And we're going to take a look at the standings around the league now, with the American League up first here. The Baltimore Orioles still holding a commanding lead in the AL East, a 7-game lead on the Yankees. Their 70 wins and 52 losses are those Orioles. Kansas City has overtopped Detroit. I never thought I would see this happen this year, Gary. In the AL Central, Kansas City Royals now have a game-and-a-half lead over the Detroit Tigers, going 8-2 in their last 10 for the Royals, and of course Detroit 4-6 in their last 10. So it kind of feels like the wheels are starting to come off on those Tigers. Out in the West, it's the LA Angels, and they've eclipsed and tied, as a matter of fact, the Oakland A's with a 72-50 record. Didn't think I would see this soon in the season as well. So a lot of these teams making a move as we enter the middle of August here.
And Oakland had such a huge lead that's really a shocker. And Detroit really also did at one point. I think they were up by 7 games. So, and they added all that pitching. And the funny thing is, Rich, I think we talked about it here, and anybody you talk to after the trade deadline, that when the Tigers added David Price and Oakland added John Lester, that we thought, boy, that was it. But not to be. I think Oakland may have added John Lester, but I think the trading of Cespedes really hurt them and hurt their offense. And they're 3-7 in their last 10 games, and the Angels are 5-5, and not exactly ripping it up, but boy, they came back, and Seattle's still right there too at 8-2 in their last 10, and I'll tell you, that's going to be a dogfight now for Oakland.
Yes, it will be. Over in the National League, it's the Washington Nationals. They have a pretty good lead on the Atlanta Braves, 6-game lead on them as we're nearing the end of August. Then it's the Miami Marlins. They've been improving of late. They're still 8 games back, though. They're 7-3 in their last 10, winners of their last 2. Over in the Central, it's still the Milwaukee Brewers. They're starting to give up some ground to the Cardinals, 3 games ahead of them as we speak here. The Pittsburgh Pirates, they seem like they were poised to make a move, but they're losers of their last 5 in a row. They've lost 5 games straight. They're still in it at 5.5 games back with a 64-60 record. Out in the West, NL West, of course, the Dodgers have regained the lead out there, and it seems like the Giants and the Dodgers are going back and forth here all of a sudden.
Yeah, Dodgers starting to get a little bit of a cushion there, 3.5, but that really doesn't mean that much at this point. And Milwaukee, though, I'll tell you, Rich, they're getting pressured, but they keep responding. I believe they just swept the Dodgers, and no easy task there. So they really keep responding to the shots that the other teams are taking at them, and I really think they're going to hang on there. I mean, they're going to make the playoffs, I would think, even if they get knocked out of that spot. They have the best record percentage-wise in the National League, so I think they're going to be there unless there's a big collapse. I see the Brewers in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, without a doubt. They're looking like they're a playoff team, and I'm sure they're high up there with the percentages on the chance to be in the playoffs. 7-3 in their last 10, winners of their last 4, and they have a great road record. The road record they have is even better than their home record. It's 36-27 on the road, so they feel comfortable playing wherever they are. It's the mark of a winning ball club usually.
Yeah, that's quite impressive that they're winning on the road as well as at home.
Yeah, well, we have a final story up for the podcast tonight here on MLB This Week, And we want to remind you, if you like the podcast, you like how we sound, you're thinking about starting your own podcast maybe, or want to see some of the equipment we use, pop on over to our website, mlbthisweek.com, and find our podcast gear page. You can purchase your own right through our links and be a sponsor of the show. You give Gary and I a chance to improve our equipment as well by purchasing your podcast gear through those links. So we invite you to check it out on our podcast gear link at mlbthisweek.com. And Gary, you have the final story of the night.
Well, a quick minor league story here. Joe Mikulik is a minor league manager, and apparently he's got a reputation as a bad-tempered guy, and he had a couple of big meltdowns in 2012 and 2006 when he managed Class A Asheville Taurus of the Colorado Rockies organization, and he's no longer with them, but he is with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans of the Texas Rangers organization. It's a Class A team, and he pulled a bit of a strip down as he got out of his clothes, at least some of them anyway, in a game just the other day. He argued a call at the plate made by the umpire in the fifth inning, and he got ejected from a 9-1 loss to Salem after he angrily pointed in the umpire's face several times, threw his cap, slid into home plate twice to recreate the disputed play, and then removed his jersey and shoes in protest. And I guess thankfully he stopped there and walked off the field because it could have got ugly if he went any further and
Yeah.
took off any more. So.
Yeah, and you don't see that happen too much in baseball. The umpires and the managers now going at it, especially in the big leagues.
Well, maybe that's why he's still down in April after a number of years, because he's just got a temper. But you have to wonder what kind of example is that for young kids. He's got kids 19, 20 years old, and you know, sometimes we watch these minor league games and forget how young these kids are. I was talking to somebody this evening, and we were talking about some short season A-League ball, and it's just remarkable that you know, guys are 18 and 19 years old and 17 in some cases. Just incredible, and really it boggles the mind sometimes.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you know, that's when these players are being sought after as well. Some of these major league teams want to get them in their program and scout them earlier and earlier. So it's an interesting game, and of course they're making a lot more money than they used to as well at a younger age now.
That's for sure. The Mets just signed a 16-year-old Venezuelan shortstop for $1 million.
Yeah, so it's an average working Joe would take I don't know, a long time to work and earn that kind of money. So baseball is the way to fame and fortune for a lot of players, and a lot of these teams are taking advantage of the good players as well.
Yeah, that's certainly for sure. And look, you know, it's not a bad way to make a living.
No, if you can get the job, it's a great way to make a living. Well, we thank you for tuning in to this podcast here. It's MLB This Week. If you like our show, stop by our website, like our YouTube page, and follow us on Google+. You can get the announcements when we'll be doing our next shows. Gary, have a great week, and we'll talk to everyone again on our next show, MLB This Week.
Okay, Rich. See you then.